So once again, this is Hank and Andrew, and we're talking about Legion, and we're talking about Legion episode 2, which we both saw
recently.
What'd you think?
I like this one. I feel like it lost a little bit of like the creative energy that the first episode had, but not enough that I'm not still interested.
I felt like it was a lot more coherent. Like the first one was much more
frantic.
Yeah, and sort of embracing that schizophrenic idea of what was going on, whereas this felt like they did a real, now you're in this place, here's who these people are, this thing's happening.
And there was a lot of, in the way that in the memory sequences it was sort of told out of order. There was still an element to that, and maybe that's something that'll continue, is it's told uniquely every episode.
I think they're definitely going to keep that weird like mental illness aspect running in it. Something I was thinking about, there's that bit where he turns the dial early on.
I do remember.
The mental dial, and it was like the great big thing that you had to turn, which reminded me so much of some of the sequences in The Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
And that was something that I was thinking about last episode where we were talking about how it looks so Wes Anderson. Mm-hmm. I think I almost forgot to say how much it feels like a Coen Brothers thing because Noah Hawley has that background of doing Coen Brothers stuff.
Yeah, and I see that as well. It's weird. You can see sort of draws from it, yet it still, or things it draws from rather, but it still feels unique in its own way.
Yeah.
But you mentioned about keeping the mental illness aspect. Little disappointed that they seem to be shying away from that in favor of like, you weren't crazy all along, you just have powers.
Well, I think that's the twist.
They're wrong?
Yeah.
I hope so.
That it's both. That it is going to be that thing of like, yeah, they think you're not crazy, you're just hearing voices, but in fact he's hearing both. And that's, I really hope I'm not super, super wrong on this, but for the time being, like, I kind of want to double down on that theory of, I think he's also infested by the Shadow King.
My God.
Like, it just makes so much sense to me of if he's such a powerful mutant, telepath, telekinetic. Here's the Shadow King's deal. In the comics, I was reading up on this today, the Shadow King fought Professor X back in the 1970s, and Professor X killed the Shadow King's body, exiling him to the psychic plane. So the Shadow King just kind of moves around the world, taking over people. So I have this idea now of like, oh, what would be the perfect place for him to hide? In an incredibly powerful schizophrenic mutant, where he can just hide in one of the many little doorways inside David's mind, and he'll never know the difference. Mm-hmm. I'm really suspicious of that. And if I'm wrong, I feel like that's a cool story that needs to be told under a different circumstance.
For sure. And in relation to that, you mentioned the telepathy, telekinesis. It seems like they're going more to the scale of him being like a reality warper in the way that he is in the comics, because like with the MRI machine, he basically like teleports it.
I think they're going to full on do the thing in the book that it's like 1,000 different personalities, and every personality has an individual power.
I would love that. I love that.
I'm really suspicious again, like just sort of the way, what was that, the Angry Boy thing they did?
Oh, the angriest boy in the world or something like that?
Yeah, some sort of like nursery book that he was read when he was a little kid that I think will be one of the personalities inside of him.
Do we feel still that Aubrey Plaza is potentially a personality that never existed?
I think she's a real person who's dead and is now one of the personalities in his head.
Okay, yeah.
I'm willing to go with that. There was something that really fucking hit me visually. I think we mentioned before about like it almost feels like they're doing a rogue storyline with the girl who can't touch people.
Yeah.
Again, like I don't know if I'm making this shit up or if I'm seeing what I want to see, but like I felt like there was a bunch of shots where her bangs were super white and the rest of her hair was super dark. And it
could be a lighting thing as well.
It could have, but it felt like an almost intentional lighting thing. And there's a couple of things about her costume. And again, like it's a character wearing gloves, but it's like one of the outfits in particular looked like an outfit. There was that cartoon where Rogue was an emo kid.
X-Men Evolution.
It looked sort of like the X-Men Evolution version. I really wonder how much she's Rogue.
I mean, maybe I mean, it's hard to say what with their relationship with Fox. Looking now, it is FX. You were right.
And I almost wonder if it's if they just don't collar that and tweak it a bit, they can still tell this character's story, and at the same time, like through visual hints, give a little nod to the audience, being of like, yeah, it's this.
Right.
We're not going to say it. I don't know. I just, like I say, I was stricken with. There was a couple of things they did where her hair looked rogue-esque.
Yeah.
And it felt too specific to be an accident.
Mm-hmm. Like so many pieces falling into place.
Yeah. But again, like I could just be seeing what I want to see.
Yeah, sure. What did you think of the sort of filling out this area with what's her face? This woman, this Charles Xavier-esque figure.
And that's the other thing of like their place that they're at is called Summerland.
Summerland is a small town about 15 minutes away from where I grew up.
Oh yeah, heard of that.
Yeah, it's awful. Shout out to Summerland.
There's a bit where something's going on and you can hear something in the background. Something over the speakers says, "Remember, the dining hall is a limitation-free zone."
Wait, when did that happen?
It's one of the points
out.
when I think it's when David comes awake and one of the guys is talking to him and saying like, "Oh, you're gonna have to go talk to somebody else." So he gives him a glass of milk and they're just kind of chilling out for a few minutes. And in the background on the audio system, you hear somebody say, "The dining hall is a limitation-free zone." Which
Weird.
they're at Professor Xavier's place. That's.
Cool.
I don't know. I feel like I can see again. She's Professor X. They're not going to use Professor X. So I almost get the impression that we're going to get this weird. All these famous
Pseudo
X-Men are going to show up in this with all these little tweaks, so they can still stand on its own. But it's almost Gotham-esque.
Okay, you think there's a metal man's gonna come out and he's like, "I'm very big."
Close, yeah, very close actually. Yeah, now he's German or something.
Yeah.
But no, I almost do feel like that's what they're doing with it.
Okay, I liked the guy. Metonymy? No, that's a different thing.
Is the dude who did all the memory work stuff?
Yeah, what was it? It was something like that.
I like their way of using telepathy, having a flashback where you remember things with photo clear detail is a common TV trope, so having it be somebody's mental power made it a more comfortable way to work a flashback into something.
And I liked when he says he remembers everything, even his birth and being inside the womb.
That was a very
just
X-Men-y
cool
thing.
Yeah, cool little moment with him. I'm excited to see more of that character and more of the different characters.
Yeah,
I want to see very tall.
I'm excited to see some more other powers as well. They sort of flaunted that dude who was telekinetically throwing people around at the end of the first episode, and I keep sort of waiting to see how far they're going to push with that stuff.
I mean, who knows what kind of budget they have.
Yeah.
FX is usually fine with stuff like that.
It's funny, there was a couple of points where, did you see Scanner Darkly?
Pieces.
It reminded me of little bits of that for some reason. There was some sort of a slightly tripped out Philip K. Dick kind of reference I felt to some of it. But again, that's Philip K. Dick writing about insanity and some of that stuff with the when they took that weird blue drug that turned into a Steve.
Oh,
that was
vapor.
the vapor stuff that felt super Scanner Darkly to me.
Yeah, totally. I get that impression as
Which
well.
I really like. I really like doing vapor. I like a show.
I was gonna say, which part do you like?
I like a show where mutants are doing mutant drugs and tripping out and doing crazy stuff. That's a way to keep me watching a program.
I get that. Yeah, it was a safe way of not doing a specific drug, which also might give indication of the time period.
They mentioned that. It was too bad you haven't been able to see that behind the scenes thing on the costume design, because they specifically talk a whole bunch in the costume design about the ageless aspect of everything, how they want it to feel neo-futuristic 70s.
Okay, and I love it. It's so good.
That's very well designed.
There's another little moment that I sort of stuck out to me when he was with the doctor, and the door opens.
Yeah.
And I really just thought the framing of that shot of the door and the sound design was really good. It gave you a good sense of dread without really showing you anything, and obviously that's in many ways the best way to give you a sense of dread. But I just
Yeah.
really appreciated that.
No, then they call back that sound effect stuff later. It's got that weird
Yeah,
like
it's like a
guttural and I think like wood breaking and yeah, it's spooky.
It's a spooky. Do you feel like there's any relevance in when there was like the recorder
Yeah.
and he felt like super off about it, and there was parts where it felt like it was a little, the audio was like desynced? Do you feel like there's anything more to that, or was that just like him panicking or being paranoid?
Well, there's that one bit where there's a missing chunk of his memory.
Yeah.
And I want to assume that's when another one of his personalities took over. So, and that's what they don't know yet when they're going through his memories. That's why there's missing, like he full on doesn't remember it because that wasn't David who had that experience. It was one of the other selves. So I sort of wonder how much that's going to influence those kind of memories as well.
I don't know. It's interesting. I really hope they don't shy away from it. I will be really disappointed in the show if they just go the route of like, you were never sick, you're a hero.
100%. Like I think they kind of have said in the like way they've advertised it that it's a show about mental illness.
I hope so. I think that would be really...
No. I mean,
It'd be
otherwise
weak.
they'd be doing the Jean Grey show or something like that. No, again, like I
Oh,
think it is
yeah.
going to be like everybody's going to be this. Hey, David, just believe in yourself. You're not a crazy fucked up
And
thing.
then it's gonna fall from under him.
No, and it's going to turn out of like, oh no, the evil demon thing lived inside him all along.
Oh, God, I hope so.
It will. Okay, well, we're pushing time on that, so
All right.
I guess that's Legion episode 2. Listening to CBMF. That's CBMF with Hank and Andrew talking about Legion episode 2. And yeah, thanks for listening.
We're signing out.
Yes.